What makes a destination feel like home? Is it magnetic because of history? Does it draw us with beauty, with speed? Or are we drawn to the people who share a common passion? There's a place in West Virginia that feels like home to some. A place where young children fall in love with racing. A road that doesn't cut through nature, but exists inside it. A road with 10 twists and 10 turns through emerald and amber foliage. Here, workers and volunteers are the products of a lifelong affection of all things fast. People who wish to pass down their memories to the next generation. But perhaps the most important thing about this asphalt path is that lap after lap, corner after corner, it provides an escape. For just a moment, you become one with the machine, and nothing else matters. For those who call it home, they mean it. A home isn't a building. A home is a place where one lives. And just because you're alive doesn't mean that you're living. Take with you the memories forged at Summit Point Raceway, and you'll know you're home.
The Virginia hills are tinting orange and red in deep fall hues as the racing season comes to a close. With real-world championships completed and new champions crowned, it's time to climb back into virtual cockpits for another off-season of iRacing in the Washington, D.C. region SCCA Virtual Racing League. To kick off the season, we head to the region's home track, Summit Point Raceway, for a 1.2-hour team event in support of the Boys and Girls Club of the Eastern Panhandle. Hi, everybody. I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Finian DeCuna. Finian, welcome back. It's been a really long time since you've been here on a Wednesday evening for the DC Region SCCA Virtual Racing League, but happy to have you back as we head home for the DC Region into Summit Point Raceway.
Yeah, glad to be back with this group of drivers. I mean, it's been a really long time since I've covered a race. I think we were just talking about it before. I think it's almost been a year since I've covered a race with this group of drivers. And it's really unfortunate because it's such great talent in this series. These guys always find a way to put on some great racing. And it's nice. They're not driving the fastest cars out there, but man, can they wheel them.
I'm really excited tonight. We've got 3 car classes, the Cadillac CTSV, the street stock, which is typically a round oval car, and then of course we have the Volkswagen Jetta Tdi as our third category. Pretty even class split, about 5 to 7 cars for each class. Again, we do have some teams tonight, so drivers will be sharing the cars. Got some teams and drivers to talk about here when we get into the broadcast in just a couple of moments. If you'd like to donate to the cause here, to the Boys and Girls Club of the Eastern Panhandle, there is a convenient QR code there. We'll have it on the top right of the screen like this as well, so you can donate to the cause here. And of course, the Boys and Girls Club of the Eastern Panhandle, they prepared a statement. As we race into the beginning of the school year, the Boys and Girls Club of the Eastern Panhandle is excited to partner with the Washington, D.C. Region SCCA to kick off our 2022 to 2023 after-school program. During the hours of 3 to 6:30 p.m., our Jefferson County Club members, ages 6 to 18, will be greeted by mentors they know and trust when they cross the starting line. During the program day, the children receive dinner and a snack, homework help, fitness games, and fun. As they cross the finish line each day, our members can be prepared to take on a new day with confidence. Thanks to all for supporting the local Boys and Girls Club. From Stacy Ron, CEO. So there's the statement there, Finian, as we've got that QR code top right of the screen for everyone to donate to. We'd love and appreciate if you could help out. Anything is helpful. We get set to go qualifying here, and times are on the left-hand side of the screen, and the top of the board, the red on the screen, the red numbers, those are your Cadillac CTSV cars. Team Weebs R Us. We've got Ken Howe Seal, our Team RSR with Reed Shannabrook, Mad Badger Autosport with Mike Leader, Team Tala with Tala Sadiq, EFK with Eddie Ketarakis, and more in that category, followed by the street stock category. That, of course, is our secondary class, the blue on the timing and scoring. Andrew Pilato, Team Crunchberries, is at the top of the board. And not too far back, you'll find the Lizard Brains podcast group. That's DJ Alessandrini and Tom O'Gorman coming off a recent Grid Life Championship. He'll be here tonight. Jamison Huffman is in there, Jack Chrissy, Morgan Burkhardt, and many more that you're familiar with. And finally, the last category, the Volkswagen Jetta Tdi, the diesel Volkswagens. Vital Racing, PMF Motorsports, that's Louis Alessi and Dave Fitzgerald. Worldwide Jetta Club with Joe Camilleri and other names that you're familiar with. So lots of drivers that have returned and some new for the winter season this fall, Finian.
Yeah, there's some really funny team names. Just kind of looking through the orders, some really fun team names going throughout here. And as you mentioned, just a lot of familiar names. Looking at the number 17 Jetta coming on through, and it's been a very long time since I've seen a Jetta roll around a racetrack.
Yeah, front-wheel drive, diesel, 8-speed, automatic transmission operated by paddle shifters. So it's certainly a unique car in the racetrack tonight. But of course, we've got this Cadillac CTSV Ken House seal behind the wheel of the number 23. You can run this event as a solo individual. I think some have elected to do that. You just won't be scored at the end of the race, but you can run it with one or two drivers, and Ken House Seal's got the livery to pair with the team name here.
Yeah, and definitely an interesting car. I mean, I've seen far worse. Similar to the Good Smile racing car that you see in the Super GT, and usually has some anime characters plastered on the side. And as cringy as it sounds, those cars always look amazing.
That looks great. Oh, a little understeer there for Ken House Seal. This Cadillac is a big car for this very tight and twisty road course. Let's have a quick look here at the track and give you kind of an idea of what we're doing here. 10 corners around Summit Point Raceway here, fitting it all starts with a run down that very long front straightaway into turn number 1.
Yeah, you're going to be seeing that. It's going to be the prime passing opportunity you're going to see you guys have a look at. Then you go through turn 2, which is just a slight little crest to the right-hand side, then a left in turn 3. That's where you see a lot of guys who got past in turn 1 try to make an attempt back in turn number 3. Then turns 4 and 5. Another passing opportunity, though, can be very treacherous down there.
Yeah, you're going essentially steeply downhill towards turn number 5, then 6. Carry it up 7, 8, kind of a sweep back to the right, then to the left, then turn 9. That will turn you onto that back straightaway. We're going to build a run to turn 10 and then carry as much speed as you can out of turn 10 because it leads to a very, very fast front straightaway. And look how long this is. It will carry you all the way down this straight towards turn number 1, Finian. It's a very crucial corner to get right.
It really is that run on the final corner. You need to get that momentum, especially in these slower cars, and especially the Jetta. Probably most of all, you need to get a solid run out the corner, and you're going to be relying most in the slipstream to be building that up, and then to dive down the inside, make a pass.
There's Kyle Herbst. He's also with Andrew Pilata and Team Crunchberry. He's got the Captain Crunch Chevrolet Camaro. Behind him, the number 69. That is the PMF Motorsports red car. That's Jack Chrissy behind the wheel for now. Lots of familiar names, but paired up in duos like this, we typically don't see team racing in the Virtual Racing League here in the off-season, so this is kind of new. We've had team races in the past. This is just not a typical thing. Typically, everyone's running solo, so it's going to take us a while till we get everybody's teams sort of figured out.
Yeah, it can be a little bit tricky at times because you don't quite know exactly who's even going in the next car unless you look through iRacing, which I do have the ability of doing so. So I can check some of those guys that are getting ready. Some of the guys actually don't have a second car in the server, or the second driver in the server yet, so they'll be joining later on as the event gets underway.
And having a look here, 8 minutes left in qualifying. The fastest times of each category are on the left-hand side of the screen. You see Ken House Seal, currently provisional pole in the Weebs R Us car. And in the street stock category, the Crunchberries team is at the top with Kyle Herbst. Tom O'Gorman has jumped into the Lizard Brains podcast car. We'll see if he exits pit lane or if he'll stay put, and there he goes. Tomo again with that pink and blue helmet rolling out of pit lane and onto the racetrack. Jamison Huffman just went by the start-finish line. He's in at 989. They're running third right now, just a couple hundredths behind O'Gorman and Alessandrini in the Lizard Brains car.
Yeah, beautiful Pontiac Trans Am paint scheme on that machine. Let's see, it was as fast as a Trans Am. As you're trying to build up, only third on the time sheets for the street stock. Still got O'Gorman and Herbst to beat.
Yeah, so the street stock category is unique because this is the only car that's a true H-pattern manual, and this is a true H-pattern manual. Heel-toe downshifting, clutching on upshifts. This car does not take kindly to you rushing shifts. The Cadillac's got that semi-automatic paddle-shifted gearbox, and of course the automatic in the Jetta. So this is really a car you have to drive, and you can overdrive it, as you see Huffman do there at turn number 6.
And it's going to be very tough to get around here for some of these guys because it's so easy to get an off track in some of these corners. You just dip a wheel off the track because the racing line goes right up to the edge of the track. You see right there a little bit of an example of that is Louis Alessi trying to work that Jetta around this very tight technical section in the middle of the track.
Just kind of mid-double-digit speeds through here, but this front-wheel drive car is going to struggle to rotate on power. You have to get the car rotated and then pointed, and then smash that throttle and use as much momentum as you can. As we approach turn number 10, watch the speed, bottom right-hand corner. There's your gear and your miles per hour. And about kind of 90 to high 80s here through turn 10. Carry that speed, watch the gravel on exit. And then now down the front straightaway, the speed will climb up. And this car is pretty quick in a straight line. It certainly is no slouch, although not as fast as the others in the categories tonight.
And also very quiet. It's almost amazing how quiet it is. I think this actually makes less noise than the new Porsche Mission R electric car that came out. I feel like that makes more noise with its battery whine and the wheel noise than the Jetta does with its diesel. It's so quiet.
It's quiet, and it's also in normal trim, pretty fuel efficient. Ooh, look out for the slide from the number 6. Joe Camilleri goes for a slide, but again, with that front-wheel drive layout, just smash that throttle back to the floor. Not necessarily the case in the other two categories. Finian, go ahead.
And you know, it's funny because you mentioned about the fuel efficiency because they actually had to balance the classes out. They actually they gave fuel restrictions for them. So Caddy has full tank of gas, street stock down to 65%, and the Jetta 25% fuel. That's I think just to make them make a pit stop.
Ooh, this is tight, and turn 4. There goes the Mad Badger Motorsport car, and absolutely sends somebody flying. Was that number 2? Morgan's
I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of that, especially between the different classes, because I think for the Caddy and the street stock especially, they're going to be flying through that section, while the Jetta with the front wheel drive, they're going to be struggling off the gas quite a bit to make that right-hander at speed.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of that. The challenge of using downforce as well. Jamison Huffman, just best. The Lizard Brains podcast car goes second quick in the street stock category at a 1:18.874, the best lap that car has done so far tonight, and is only, well, I say only, it's a half second off of the Crunchberries car. That duo with Pilata and Kyle Herbst, they really seem to have dialed in this rear-wheel drive, stick axle, circle track, short track car here for the right-hander on the road course.
Yeah, this thing, it really does not feel like it's designed for this type of track. It's a fairly big car. It's not tiny. So it does feel a little bit out of its element, especially as you mentioned with the H pattern. You guys go through the gears, make sure they do it properly, all while controlling the back end to make sure they get the power down properly.
Well, the least gears to consider of any of the classes, only 4 in this car, and he's going to split the difference there as the Lizard Brains car comes out behind the number 6 Worldwide Jetta Club team entry. No changes in top class in the Cadillacs at the moment. Still about 2/10 between Weebs R Us and RSR. All of the Jettas are on track, including the pole sitter provisionally, the Vital Racing car, the Felix Oradati. So just under 4 minutes left here in qualifying before our 72-minute race. 1 hour, 1.2 hours, I should say. That's the length of the race we'll be competing on tonight. And we'll see lots of lap traffic. Now, 20 cars, we're with 19 cars total. That's actually a fairly small car count. We've done 40, 50, and almost 60 car fields here in the past, and it gets pretty chaotic. I will say, though, the lap time difference between these cars is pretty significant, especially the Cadillac making laps in under 1:10 seconds, whereas the Jettas are over 1:20.
You know, I agree. I think 19 cars, that's a decent size field around here, what you would expect for a track like Summit Point, but the speed difference is really where things are going to get chaotic. So depending on where you catch a lap car, it's going to be big for the faster 2 classes because they can either make time up with their competitor or lose a lot of time with their competitor depending on where they catch the car.
Look at it weaving down between the categories on the front straight. We look over the right shoulder of Ken Housefield now on the binders into turn 1. No anti-lock brakes in the Cadillac. or the street stock. So maybe the Jettas will have the advantage on the binders, but no downforce for those four-door sedans slow up with either. And I think they're significantly under-tired in comparison to their competitors on track as well.
Yeah, very much a more older school style of GT car compared to the pretty much most GT cars that are GT3 spec now. So as you mentioned, just not a whole lot of aids in that machine, just pretty much just a lot of raw horsepower, a little bit of downforce, a little bit of, see the giant wing in the back and some the splitter and fenders in the front, just a little bit of downforce to help you, but mostly just a big V8 engine that you have to haul around.
Well, yes, it's got a little bit of downforce, but it has a lot of weight to throw around, a lot of weight in the front. So this car tends to understeer. You see Tdi take it wide at the exit at turn 10 and find his way into the wall. So, yes, it's a car that trends to, to be safe in the corners, but on power it can get you, especially at low speeds, really quick to spin on you. Go back to the Lizard Brains podcast car. Here's DJ Alessandrini. Across the line at a 119.855. No improvement there that time for the number 61.
Yeah, they got about half a tenth to make up on the 989 Jameson Huffman, the Karts 2 Cars machine. So they only got a little bit of time to make up, but they got a little bit of time left on the clock to actually do that. They only got maybe a lap or two left before qualifying is complete to try to beat that time.
Curb jump there for Alessandrini. For those that don't know, Lizard Brains podcast, it's DJ and Tomo's kind of project. They talk all things grassroots motorsports. They talk a lot about gaming and how it got them into racing. A really interesting podcast. Just plugging them because they're my buddies, but find that on Spotify. Pretty interesting topics the last couple of months that they've been doing that. Really close to the edge of the road. Return number 7 and 8.
Here comes Cadillac coming up on them quickly.
19 of Tdi, who's 4th in class. He will make easy work of the street stock on exit. And pretty even class splits, I'd say. The 9 seconds back. Cadillac is kind of in its own category, but fairly even splits there on back as we got 20 seconds left. So Tala will get one more lap should he choose to use it. Everyone else, except for the Karts to Cars team, and this doesn't drive like a Warthog team that Kevin Zhu is on. He's in the 243 in the street stock class.
I don't think you wanted to drive like a Warthog.
I would think it would drive like a Warthog, to be honest, it's as the street stock. Checkered flag now in qualifying as we get prepared for our 72-minute race for the first round of the winter season for the Washington, D.C. region Virtual Racing League. Kala trying to find some time here on this last lap. Love the sound of this car.
Yeah, nothing really beats the sound of a big motor.
Just screams, a little offset there. Looks like he is going to hit pit lane. So qualifying is complete as the last couple street stocks kind of scrap for position. That car is not easy to miss. That is the 56, the Mad Mike Motorsports car. Mike Kelly behind the wheel. And yep, that is visible from space, I'd say. Thing looks like it's glowing.
That's an interesting choice in color there.
Choice is plural. But can't miss him as he goes for a loop at the exit of the corner. Qualifying is over. We'll move on now to the race in just a couple of moments. We'll run through your starting grid as these drivers get set for a pace lap and then go for 72 minutes. Another QR code moment to help out the Boys and Girls Club of the Eastern Panhandle that this race is benefiting tonight. Love if you could donate anything you got to help out, help the cause for the Boys and Girls Club of the Eastern Panhandle. There's also a link in the description of this video. Qualifying is now complete. 72 minutes, Finian. Lap 1 is always a crucial one. You have to make sure you don't lose the race before you start it. We've seen that plenty of time. Get set now for this 62 lap thereabouts race.
forgot I myself muted what I was trying to say, was that yeah, this is obviously definitely not a sprint. This is an endurance race. Not too long of an endurance race, but still a lot can happen in an hour and 12 minutes. So for these guys, it's a matter of just getting a decent start, getting yourself kind of sorted out, get yourself a pace established, and get yourself into a rhythm for the race ahead. Especially, you got to consider too, you don't want to make too big a mistake, guys. You got a teammate. And you don't want to be handing your teammate a poorly handling car that's probably been in the wall.
Don't want to hand your teammate a car that's been in the wall. That is true. Here's another look. 1.2 hours at the point here, the season kickoff for the DC Region Virtual Racing League. We get set for this Wednesday evening adventure. Summit Point, West Virginia, population 53,000. This racetrack constructed back in 1970. It's been used for all sorts of things along that time. Paul Newman ran many of his early career races here at Summit Point Raceway. Had a great story from one of the guys that runs Pirelli GT4 America over on the SRO side about how he had a big crash there in the 1980s, flipped over so far into the woods that they didn't know where he went. He walked out of the woods dazed and confused, and that's how the corner workers found him. They didn't see the car. It was a wild story. So I wish I could tell you the whole thing, but not my story to tell. All right, time to run through the starting lineup here on row number 1, kicking things off in the Cadillac CTSV category up front. It's the Weebs R Us car. Ken Houseel, he'll start alongside Reed Shannabrook in the RSR number 14, Finian.
Moving on back to row number 2, Mike Leader in the 53. That's Mad Badger Autosport. Next to him, Team Tala Sadiq taking the reins of that car in 4th place.
Row 3 has the last of our Cadillacs, the first of our street stock cars. That's Eddie Ketarakis in the number 16 for EFK. Kyle Herbst on pole in the street stock category in the number 96 for the Crunchberries team.
Moving on back and behind them, 2nd place in class is going to be Jameson Huffman in the 989 in 2nd place. Next to him, DJ Alessandrini. They're going to be starting off in 3rd in the Lizard Brain podcast machine.
Starting 4th in straight stocks, Jack Chrissy in the number 69 for PMF Motorsports Red. Morgan Burkhardt starts 5th in class in the number 2, Morgan's College Fun Motorsport car.
Back and behind them in 6th, the 243, that's going to be Doesn't Drive Like a Warthog. An interesting thing about this team, Kevin Zhu, he's the only guy in the server for that team at the moment. Lost connection, so he's not going to be able to take the green flag. We'll see if he tries to join back. I hope he can try to join back quickly. And then next to him, Mad Mike Motorsports, Mike Kelly in 56.
8th place and the final driver in the street stock category, Deacon Greenfield. We move on now to the next category. This, of course, is your Jetta category up front. Felix Borodati in the number 17. He is your 1st place starter in our final class.
Moving on back and behind them, 2nd place in class, PMF Motorsports, Louis Alessi in 2nd place. Next to him, Team Jermaine Major. And of course, it's Jermaine Major in that car in the 4.
In 4th place in that category, it's Joe Camilleri in the number 6. That is Worldwide Jetta Club. And David Miller starts 5th right behind him. That is Team Miller. No surprises there.
And last but not least, we have Team Ryan McBain, and it's Ryan McBain leading off last in 19th, 6th in class.
Love the creative team names there. Team Ryan McBain. Guess who's driving? Ryan McBain. We roll through turn number 6 and 7, now into 8 at the left-hander. And the race is 72 minutes. This is about 62 laps worth of racing. Traffic dependent. We'll get 3 separate starts here. And of course, the drivers all have to make 1 mandatory pit stop. And if you have a team member with you, you have to switch out drivers at your leisure, but at least 1 time in this race. Field is packing up, pairing up. Have a quick look at the race analysis here. That's how many kilometers we're going. I think infinite kilometers and negative 2 billion laps. Love that. 19 drivers out now to 630 feet. Have a look at the weather really quickly. 104-degree track temp, 81 in the air. It is a pleasant but cloudy day here at Summit Point Raceway here in West Virginia. We are going racing for the first time in the offseason for the Washington, D.C. Region Virtual Racing League. Green flag flies, and we are racing at Summit Point.
Cadillac's off and away, fairly orderly start for them, heading down to turn number 1, almost already single file. The green Cadillac in behind, you see trying to work his way on through as we look back at the street stocks and the Jettas that have joined back up together as they go flying into turn number 1.
61 of Alessandrini is at the inside of the 989. Jumps the curb there as they try to avoid contact through the first corner. Behind him, trouble already. The Jettas are a mess.
Yeah, big wreck in the Jetta. Several of them going off this track. You see that is Ryan McBain going off almost into the tree line.
Yeah, there was contact from the 4 getting into the 15. That sends the 11 out wide. Not a part of it, just didn't want to be. Back up front, though, Ken Halseal leads the way in the 23. It's a second back to Reed Shannonbrook. That battle is already beginning to fizzle, but in street stocks, it's tight right behind the second place car, the 989.
Yeah, you mentioned there's almost contact between Jameson Huffman and DJ Alessandrini for second and third place. There, as Huffman was trying to clear, Alessandrini was just able to do so after the next few corners, and you can see Alessandrini under attack from Burkhardt in mind.
Morgan Burkhardt, all last season, was a talent we had our eyes on. Here he is again, battling one of the winningest drivers in the league and the series. Down a gear, turns it in, right on the tailpipes of the 61. A little wobble and a wiggle. Now it's a slipstream down the straightaway.
The guys are racing like there's 10 minutes left to go. There's still an hour and 10 minutes left to go as they're flying down into turn 1 again. Burkhardt trying to use the advantage. The slipstream can't quite get there. Alessandrini, and actually I thought Alessandrini was going to go out to block. He doesn't even have to bother. Burkhardt's going to sit behind.
And this race is benefiting the Boys and Girls Club of the Eastern Panhandle. If you would like to donate, there is a QR code in the top right corner of the screen that you may scan with your phone, or there's a link in the video description. Help out the Boys and Girls Club of the Eastern Panhandle. Sliding through turn number 3 is the number 2 as they chase each other down turn number 4. He's in the dirt. Woo, that was tight.
Not giving this battle without a fight, trying to make up every inch, use up every inch of track to make up every little tenth of a second that he can find on the back of Alessandrini. The problem is he can't quite get that alongside that 61.
Little bit of understeer there for Alessandrini, trying to arc turn 7 and then into 8. That battle continues. This is the closest one on the racetrack at the moment, and it's fierce. Look at DJ working that wheel at the exit of turn 9.
And he's really good. I can imagine he's really concentrated trying to keep this 2 in behind, because the 2 is all up in his mirror. And while DJ also tries to chase down the car's machine right in front of him.
Up the road. Second place, already into traffic is Reed Shannonbrook. He's under fire now from Mike Leader in the Mad Badger Autosport car. And Thales Sadiq not too far back as they get by the number 6 of Joe Camilleri, who had to make a pit stop early.
It came in for his stop, as he mentioned, just came out of pit lane in front of the leaders. It wasn't much of a problem for Halseal, but a problem for Shannonbrook. That's why you saw him lose so much time. Speaking of time, he's already dropped 3 seconds back to Halseal up in the lead.
Now Halseal is setting sail out front. Back to the number 2, though. Still hounding the 61 as they head down the hill towards 5.
You've got to give him a bum draft heading off from that turn. There's definitely a turn you don't want to give a bum draft to.
Lateral slide there. The fire shooting out the tailpipes of the 61. You know my deal, Finian. Cars that shoot fire are better than cars that don't shoot fire. And the good news is 2 of the 3 categories do shoot fire today.
Yeah, you can't quite get the fire with the diesel, but...
I mean, you could. Good battles
you get
here.
Fire with diesel, it's not a good time.
Not a good day. That is for sure. Back up to 3rd place in the Cadillacs. Mad Badger Autosport. Mike Leader now feeling pressure from Thales Sadiq through turn 3. Big curb climb for the number 19. These cars don't like curbs all that much. They kind of bounce awkwardly. They're set up very stiff just because of all that weight they have to lug around and change direction. So jumping curbs here can unsettle the car pretty quickly.
As you mentioned, you definitely want to try to stay away from them as much as you can. Last thing you want to do is also just dip a wheel off and put yourself off lane and potentially into the wall. I also want to mention, too, there is an instant count penalty, so you don't want to get too many off tracks. You get, after 21 incidents, you will get a drive-through, and then every 5 you'll get a drive-through after that.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to not get off tracks here. You just have to watch out for turn 3 and 10. 10 is the corner we're in right now. 3 is that one we saw the 53 car mounting the curbs on. Or the 19 rather, that was Thales Sadiq. Down the front straightaway, speeds climbing north of 160, and then you got to whoa it down to under 50 miles an hour at points. A lot of braking reliance here. When we get into traffic, you need to leave yourself a little bit of panic brake just in case there's a move you're not expecting.
Yeah, I also want to mention, Ken Halseal is just catching the tail end of the Jetta feel now after they've been a little bit scattered after the incidents on the start of their race. But you see
Ooh,
the
that's
speed
the
difference
move.
here.
Yeah, that I think he thought the 11 car was going to drift out a little wider, and it didn't, and it really spooked him. Almost contact there as they headed down to turn 5. Look at this battle, though, back in third in street stock.
Man, these guys are going to get sick of each other for this race if they keep this up. Oh, Burkhart pulls out to the right-hand side. Does he get to the inside of the 61?
Oh.
Can't quite get there. You see the wheel lock up just a second, him trying to slow down. Now get back on the gas. He's alongside 61. Can he make the pass, though?
Yeah, Alessandrini overcooked it, and as did the 2. The 2 locked up that right front tire, but into turn 3, Alessandrini will have the advantage. He'll pinch off the 2 and prevent him from making a move. Big slide by both on the exit. What a great battle here for a podium spot in the street stock category.
Over under from Burkhart as they go flying through turn 4. Now into turn 5 deep on the brakes. Burkhart with the advantage to the inside. A lockup from the second place driver Huffman up the road, and Burkhart, they're still side by side.
Good clean racing here for third. This is exactly what you want to see. No contact here, and Alessandrini's going to hang on, but at the expense of time to the second place car, Jamison Huffman. They've lost a little ground as they continue to fight back up to second in Cadillacs as the traffic is approaching. Shannonbrook feeling a lot of pressure from the third and fourth place cars.
Yeah, now still stuck in behind the leaders in the Jetta. You can see him up the road. There's not quite many places to pass at this point in the track, so if you don't get past the car, you're gonna be stuck by him. Look how much time Alceal's losing.
Lots of time right now as chases the 43, driven by Louis Alessi. Now the seas will part. He'll drive on by, but look at the ground. That second and third place have gained. Shannonbrook cuts that lead down to 0.3 of a second and a big dive into turn 10, but he didn't have a very good angle on it. The leader stuck side by side.
Yeah, Alceal lost about 3 seconds that lap alone just by sitting in behind the Jettas.
Ton of time lost. Sail down the front straightaway again. Speeds climbing north of 160. The top 4 all on top of each other. Eddie Ketarakis is back a little ways. No action right now in the Jetta category. It's Vital Racing, followed by PMF Motorsports. And even the battle in street stocks has begun to wane. Big wiggle by the 14 car, though, through turn 3, and it's going to leave him vulnerable. Here comes leader.
He's going to have to yield here. That 53's got a great run indeed. He does. So Mad Bad Toronto Sport moving up into second place now with leader behind the wheel.
Yeah, one little bobble, that's all it takes, and leader pounces, grabs second place away.
Yeah, great fight amongst the top 4. Yeah, this is one of the closest battles on the track at the moment as the rest of the field kind of split out just a little bit. Alessandrini, though, he's actually caught back up to Huffman quite a bit. Now on the tail of that Pontiac Trans Am paint schemed car.
Yeah, I wonder if DJ, I mean, he didn't look like he was saving a lot of tire, but I just wonder if his car is going to age a little better over the course of this race. An hour is a long time in a car with a tire designed for left-hand turns, and setting this car up had to be a challenge just to get it to drive straight, but here he is now putting pressure on second. Pretty delicately balanced there, not climbing all over curbs. Again, this is a stick axle car that probably doesn't like being bounced around all that much.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't want to be bounced around much. You have to kind of treat it nicely. And we see these guys just on a fine balance, a fine dance through some of these corners. Just on the white line, not quite up and over the curbs, just a little bit just to get the car to rotate, but not too much to where it throws it off balance.
It's a desperation thing. I think Huffman will start to use them more as he feels pressure from behind and Alessandrini, but that for now is a stabilized battle. We go back up to the front with Ken Halseal trying to stretch the lead again on the 53 Mad Badger Autosport car of Mike Leader. But Leader last time was 7/10 slower, so when he's behind Halseal, he's got to try to find a way to figure out what Ken is doing that he is not, because with an hour and 2 minutes of racing left, you're going to lose a lot of time if you can't figure out what Ken's doing.
Yeah, they're going to be losing a little bit of time here as they work their way through the meat of the straight stock field. Because he'll backing out from a move on Burkhart in the 2 up ahead, so it's allowing now Leader to catch back up to his bumper.
And past the number 2 of Morgan Burkhart, who's really struggling now after that initial fight with Alessandrini. Reed Shannonbrook wants back by Mike Leader, but they have both caught Ken Halseal in traffic as they get stuck behind the 989. That's the second place car. big curb climb by Shannonbrook down towards turn 5. And now this is going to get really dicey because Mike is going to see opportunity here with Ken stuck in behind lap traffic.
Yeah, I think Ken, I think he's been a little bit too nice to the lap traffic. He's been waiting just in some point just to sit in behind, and that's perfectly fine to do. But that being said, when you're in a race and you got your competition breathing down your neck, he might be faced with being taken advantage of here if he can't quite find a way around the lap traffic in some of these corners.
Now both, ooh, little touch behind as the 14 squeezes through. It's going to open the door for the 989, and that means that DJ Alessandrini is going to smell blood in the water as the gouge made in the skin of Huffman's defense for second place. Look at this, down the front straight. Talas Sadiq, Shannonbrook, slicing and dicing.
Shannonbrook looking to the inside, a leader can't quite get there. Sadiq trying to also look in behind, can't quite make the move. They see Alessandrini to the inside, battle for second place with him and Huffman.
That took a swipe at it, locked it up, couldn't quite slow it down. The street stocks do not have very good brakes. I definitely do not have anti-lock brakes. And scrapping for second, 3 abreast on the back straight towards turn 4.
Yeah, Shannonbrook, that's a tough move to make a move. You really have to be pretty established alongside to make a move into that right-hander before turn 5.
Squaring up the exit, Eddie Ketarakis has hit pit lane here with 1 hour to go. And down the order pretty significantly in the Cadillac category. One word to say, Cadillac category. Look at how much road they're using at the exit at turn 9. If you drop a tire over that curb, it is a bad day when you unload that left side.
Yeah, that's the thing you gotta fight with. You want to use up as much track as possible. You don't want to overstep that line, overstep that boundary before you find yourself in the wall or in the grass, or in the tree line, I should say, as well.
Kyle Herbst now in the distance. He is the leader of the street stock class. Huffman and Alessandrini are half a second apart here. And have we found a car that DJ Alessandrini can't automatically win in?
I don't know. We'll have to see. He's got 2 cars that are clearly faster than him at the moment. He's struggling to get past Huffman. And Herbst is just out there by himself setting his own pace. He doesn't have to worry about anyone breathing down his neck. He just took off since the green flag, and it's been clean for him ever since.
I have a feeling that the selection for the street stock was a Tom O'Gorman choice. just based on what I know about Tom O'Gorman, I feel like he's like, oh yeah, heck yeah, let's do the NASCAR. And seems like that could come to play in his favor later if he's well suited to handling these big heavy beasts. He attacks Huffman and Alessandrini does through turn number 7.
I'd love to see Tom in a stock car at some point. Something like somebody's just like show up, be like, yeah, I'll drive. Just see him wheeling it around in a truck series Xfinity.
Up over the crest, exiting 9.
It's a Burkhardt sliding the frame. That's really why Burkhardt's lost so much time, is that he's been out there sliding the rear end a lot, trying to make up time. He's been really rubbing his tires. He seems a little bit sideways out of the final turn as well. And I don't think that's really going to be doing well for him over the longer course of the run. It's not been helping in the short term. He's been losing a lot of time, sliding all over the place.
Yeah, you're just going to be eating tire and just heating up the tires. As Alessandrini goes to the outside, gets squeezed a little bit by Huffman. DJ's not going to like that. He crosses over and hits the back of the 989. The elbows are out here at Summit Point Raceway.
Well, I mean, stock car. I'm told you pretty much have to use bumpers. It's part of the racing.
I think that was prompted by the shuffle off that driver's left turn 1. I don't think DJ's afraid to hit you if you hit him first. And it was just a little touch here and a little touch there. I think they're even now. Turn 5 though. The braking is the biggest challenge. See the left front lock up again. It opens the door.
Yeah, opens the door, though this corner is very tough to go around on the left-hand side. You can see DJ backs out, tries to do an over-under. It's really wide. He's going to lose some time.
Yeah, this car doesn't change direction very well, so you see him. He tried to get creative and kind of run a road racing line, and it didn't pay off for him at the exit.
And then DJ remembered he's driving a car meant to turn only left.
He was trying to make it turn right real bad, and it didn't want to do it. 57 minutes to go. Will this run help him here, though, on the front straightaway? Slipstreaming behind the 11 car of Ryan McBain, and gains a little ground here, but it's not ground you're going to make up in meters. It's going to be inches at a time. I just mixed different measuring systems there. It's going to drive somebody nuts. Up front, no changes in Cadillac. Ken Alseal leads the way. Same in the Volkswagen Jetta class, although it is only 0.7 of a second. And here is that battle. Vital Racing in the yellow car, Louis Alessi in the other yellow car, the more different yellow car. It's a couple car lengths back.
Quite a few yellow Jettas out there. But yeah, actually, Alseal caught a break there where he caught the leaders of the Jetta class. Caught them in a decent part. Didn't have to slow all the way down or give up most of his lead. Corradati, the Vital Race machine leading that class. Louis Alessi still trying to chase him down for PMF Motorsports. He's kept that gap strong. This is the battle, really the only battle going on in that class at the moment. Everyone got spread out again after that initial wreck in turn 1 in behind these guys. I also just realized it says Schnitzelwagen on the back with a smiley face.
Little delivery service. That's your battle for the lead in the Jettas. We'll check back in on the one for second in street stock. It has been the hottest contested spot on the racetrack since we went green not that long ago. We're only a couple minutes in also, and already the Volkswagens are 2 laps down.
Yeah, I'm not too surprised. Those cars are.
Cadillac is pretty quick around here, has a massive horsepower advantage, and Alessandrini has reeled in the 989 again. And this has been the closest battle on the racetrack. You're not missing anything. This has just been nip and tuck the whole race. Again, this crossover at the exit at 5, but what do you do here? Pass for second in Cadillacs. Shannabrook past Mike Leader. Have a look at how that happened down the front straightaway. Mike Leader just overslowed, almost went wide and ended up losing the spot. And into lap traffic we go. Whoa, big slide for Leader. That's what I'm talking about. I mentioned pre-race. This car is pretty nice to you when you're above 80, 90 miles an hour, but at low speed, it can really bite you on throttle. It's got so much torque, and it's got plenty of tire, but if you ask for too much too quickly, it will step out and bite you very fast. As we go back to the Jettas, battle for the lead here. Louis Alessi tracking down Felix Borodati. Listening to tire scrub all day long. That is what your job is behind the wheel of one of these Jettas, but they do race great when you get them side by side. Absolute blast. I think Felix might be overheating those front tires, though, bringing Louis into the mix. He's in the gravel out of turn number 10. Battle for the lead. Here we go. Down the front straightaway, Louis Alessi jukes to the left. And into turn 1, side by side, the 17 and the 43. Who's got more bravery on the brakes? This time it's the 17. He outbrakes him. Louis crosses him over on corner exit. Fantastic battle happening here in the Jettas. Back up in the Cadillacs. Through lap traffic past the 56 Mad Mike Motorsports car. Peter offline. Was gaining ground again on Shannabrook, but lost the spot. Back to the lead in Jetta. On the brakes, down a couple gears. Felix just throwing the car into the corner, but again at the expense of tire temp. And on a day where the track is relatively hot, that will be a short-term gain, long-term loss. But the track temp is falling here with the overcast skies. As a little bit of a battle kicking off here. Eddie Ketarakis, he just got by the PMF Motorsports red car. That's an overall position. As Huffman and Alessandrini go back at it for second in the street stock class. Oh, little contact there, front to rear. And tire marks being left from the rear rubber of Huffman as he tries to sprint away from Alessandrini's assault. "52 minutes to go. Finian's had some kind of hardware issue. He'll be back in a moment. Whoa, big slide on corner exit as Ketarakis works his way by this traffic. Alessandrini pops out of the line to try to grab a slipstream from that Cadillac, but that is not going to do him a whole lot of good. Mike Leader gaining ground again on Shannabrook in that 14, who had second for a long time, but Leader again spinning the rear tires at corner exit.
Hello.
Hello. What happened?
Internet just decided it didn't want to work.
I thought you just found out your new GPU was doing the same thing your old GPU was doing.
I would have cried because I've spent $1,400 on GPUs in the last 2 weeks. I didn't want to spend more.
Oh boy, well here's Jamison Huffman now. The Cadillac splitting up this fight for second in street stock. But man, Leader in Cadillac's nowhere to go here until corner exit. Finally, he'll have clear road. This hurt Alessandrini a lot though. Lost a ton of ground, and now Morgan Burkhardt has run him down in all this mess.
Yeah, the beauty and the curse of a mixed class racing right there.
All this going on, we'd like to remind you that this is all to benefit the Boys and Girls Club of the Eastern Panhandle. If you'd like to donate to the cause, top right of the screen there is a QR code you can scan with your phone, or you can click the link in the video description to help the Boys and Girls Club of the Eastern Panhandle, the beneficiary of tonight's event. Thanks so much. Good battle here now as Burkhardt opens the door on Alessandrini, but can't quite complete it. It's just hard to pull away from the 61. He has been in the middle of every battle in this class and some of the other classes.
Yeah, it's really tough to try to break away and find your lane, because again, when you have the field, especially when you're a slower class and you have the faster class work their way on through, nothing much you can do. You just kind of have to hope they catch you in a good spot that it doesn't mess up your race, and then obviously the faster class hoping they catch you in a good spot so it doesn't mess up their race. And that's really the dynamic, because we have 3 different races going on here, and all these guys sharing the same track.
Kyle Herbst leading in his class 6th overall right now as Eddie Ketarakis has gone back by, but Herbst has had absolutely no pressure in this race. Huffman is the 2nd place car in class, 5.2 seconds back. They are free and clear, Kyle Herbst and Andrew Pilata.
Yeah, I'm sure they're loving the fact that they've got this lead to kind of work with, just to set their own pace and run this race on their own. Don't have to worry about guys in behind. Meanwhile, you got Alessandrini, who's been battling everyone since the drop of the green flag.
Louis Alessi sees Felix get put offline by Eddie Ketarakis in the Cadillac and uses that to close the gap down to about 2/10 of a second through turn number 5. I sense that this battle is going to just continue to heat up throughout this race. I think Felix, again, beating up those front tires a little bit more than Louis Alessi is. And then back in Cadillac, Shannabrook and Leader, they have been absolutely scrapping the last 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah, they can't afford to scrap too much with themselves, because again, they're right in the tail of Ketarakis. They kept track of him pretty quickly, and see him just fly by the Jettas, heading it off into the final turn to make sure they don't lose sight of the leader.
And Hausil has been incredibly patient in this race. He's given up almost all of his lead. I think he can afford to be patient because he has been able to drive away from those cars in 2nd and 3rd every single time. So there's no rush, no need to risk his race or others by charging through the field. But he knows as soon as that racetrack opens up again, provided he doesn't lose the lead, he can just drive back away.
That's a big issue, though, is that if he does wait too long, he might find himself where he gave up too much time, and the guys in behind take advantage of that. That's the only big issue with being as patient as he is. But I mean, as you mentioned, it does have the added benefit of him just making sure he doesn't wreck that race car or take anyone else out of the race.
47 minutes to go. We are just about at the 1/3 mark of this race as it stands. Watch Mike Leader chase Shannabrook through the S's on the backside of the track, turns 7, 8, and 9. Now, could the lap traffic of Eddie Ketarakis bring Hausil back into the mix the 2nd and 3rd? Because Ketarakis is slower than Ken Hausil, but not as slow as the lap traffic. So how patient is Ken willing to be with that yellow and black Cadillac up the road?
Yeah, I can't imagine Ketarakis is going to put up much of a fight considering he's a lap down, but I mean, we always see it's always interesting when you catch your own class. Speaking of which, battle in behind for the Cadillacs between the two. Heading off into turn 153, tries to have a look, ooh, pulls out wide, almost goes off the track, going back into the racing line. Oh, and also loose on exit.
Looks like Leader is just over-slowing and then struggling with grip on exit. Might need to smooth out those inputs just a little bit because I think he had the advantage on Shannonbrook. Had he been able to keep that nose in on driver's right, Shannonbrook would have had to have at least given him space for the look, as Ken Ausil is in the middle of absolute pandemonium down here at turn 5.
Yeah, there's the two Jettas in front of them, is followed by a Cadillac. You see Shannonbrook almost dooring the 11 of McBain.
Here's what I was talking about. If Ketarakis doesn't move over for Ausil, this could give Reed the chance of a lifetime here to get by him with 45 minutes to go. If you can put Ken Ausil behind you, I think this race looks very different.
Getting on the straightaway, 16 goes off the track, gets a little bit loose, coming back into the line, looks like he's okay, and then you see Ausil doing a little bit of a sneak to work his way on through the lap Cadillac. Sorry, not Cadillac, Street Stock, that's the 18 Deacon Greenfield, Bottle Rocket Racing.
Battle for 5th place in the Jettas, Joe Camilleri. In the 6th, that's the green car, the 11 of Ryan McBain, and the yellow, and had to bail out a little bit on corner entry to turn 1. And for 3rd place, Leader under fire from Sadiq in the entrance to turn 3, and Sadiq's got 3rd place now.
Sadiq now looking like he's starting to get control of his car and starting to work his way up and show a little bit more speed. He was quiet for the duration of the opening lap of this race.
That time, Ketarakis will move on over. As for the battle in street stocks, it's still Kyle Herbst out front. Jamison Huffman, DJ Alessandrini has run the 989 back down. We're going to get to see this battle rehashed after being separated by the Cadillacs a couple of minutes ago.
Yeah, they're really, DJ's going to have to control the bleed at some point if he wants to catch Kyle Herbst, because he's been constantly losing time since the drop of the green flag now for almost half an hour. So he's going to have to either try to find a way quickly around the 989 or something, because otherwise Tom O'Gorman's going to have to do a lot of homework for him to do to make up that gap.
The inside again, but this will very quickly become the outside. Crossover here. Not quite a touch.
As close as you can get without touching.
Again, he's trying to set up the exit here of 7 and 8, and Huffman's been kind of outperforming him, though this time DJ flows a little better speed through here.
It's so hard. It's so hard to set up anything in this car because it just does not want to handle well. As a change of position, Kyle Sadiq off in turn 3, went through the gravel trap.
That will bring Mike Leader back through into 3rd place.
Oh, Leader contact with the Jetta. Yeah. Oh, and Sadiq around trying to avoid.
That was a messy couple of corners for Cadillac category. Here's on board with number 53.
So the Jetta moved to the inside, thought the gap was opened up, closed on him a little bit, and Sadiq just struggling to get on the brakes. And the thing we talked about it being really heavy, not good in changes of momentum, and fortunately for Sadiq, car went around.
Yeah, just stood the car up on the nose and shifted all the way forward and lost the rear grip, and that's how quickly it can go away from you. Go back to watching the battle in second in street stock class. Morgan Burkhardt has kind of chased DJ back up towards the 2nd place fight. Maybe trying to pick up the scraps, maybe get by Jamison Huffman.
Yeah, I'm really curious of the frustration that DJ has. He's been fighting this group of guys the entire race so far. I think he feels that he's faster, but has not been able to make a pass.
Well, he wasn't faster than Herbst in practice or in qualifying. So who knows if DJ really thinks he can run up there and chase Herbst or Pilata down.
Oh, I'm talking more about Huffman than Herbst. Herbst is a different story.
Yeah, well, I just think just getting by the 99, then what? You know?
Yeah, I mean, hope for something. Hope and a prayer.
Down the front straightaway again, 42 minutes to go, closing in on the halfway mark of this race. And out front in Cadillac, Ken Ausil leads the way by 2.7 seconds. Reed Shannonbrook 2nd, then Mike Leader, Talas Sadiq, Eddie Ketarakis, the rest of the Cadillac class, and Kyle Herbst, Huffman, Alessandrini, Burkhardt, Chrissy, Mike Kelly, and Deacon Greenfield in street stock. And then in the Jetta class, Felix Borodati, has driven away from Louis Alessi. So this battle has fizzled, but Louis Alessi wants to keep those embers glowing there, 1.6 back.
Yeah, he's not too far off, so there's still a chance that he can come back onto the 17, especially if the 17 makes a mistake. So battle's still somewhat alive, just not immediately, doesn't immediately have these guys duking it out at the moment.
Paired up with Dave Fitzgerald in this number 43. Dead quiet in here.
I was going to say the battles in this class have been as quiet as the cars themselves.
Yeah, really just been the front two. After that stack up they had at the initial start of the race, they have not really had a coming back together. Here's second place under fire. This time Alessandrini's got overlap into very critical turn 10. They're going to bang doors through turn 10.
Yeah, I was we were talking about if you're setting up that drive off, finally got the chance to do it heading into the final corner, but problem is now that stuck side by side. See, this is the best chance he's had all race. Got a Cadillac approaching as well, so that could be a factor.
It's the second place Cadillac. Shannabrook as how Seal had to dodge these two fighting each other. The run on exit here. Look at DJ throttle up. He might be able to clear the 989. And what does Reed Shannabrook do? Does he give the 61 a push? He's going to pass in the grass as the second and third place cars tangle and head towards the off track. They gather it back up and back on the pavement, but they almost flew into the trees.
Yeah, that was definitely interesting.
I don't think Huffman knew they were 3 wide. And they
no, definitely didn't, and that was really Alessandrini taking evasive action because he was not expecting Shannabrook to just put it in the grass, and he was trying to make sure they all made it out of there somewhat alive.
At the nose of this street stock, not that this matters, this is how they look naturally, but he has definitely been banging on doors to get by. Now we'll see if he can eat in to Herbst's lead. It's 8.4 seconds, the gap that they have to make up. All the while, there goes Louis Alessi in the next class. Eddie Ketarakis off track, and it looks like he is out of the race. He will drop down the order in the Cadillac category. Mike Leader, after all that drama, he has lost a lot of his time to second place Shannabrook because of that turn 7 incident. He's got Talasidik 1.3 seconds back.
Yeah, we're going to try to find a way around both these guys. Should be able to get it done before turn 3. Indeed it does, and we'll just get past the Cadillac, the number 17, the leader.
Jetta.
Sorry, I'm getting my cars mixed up.
Yes, the new upcoming. Whoa! Talasidik had to slam on the binders to miss running into the back of Alessandrini. He's still going to try to do it, but he can't. DJ won't give him the inside lane into 5. Ooh, a little contact there.
There's they go. Come on, get at it. I got a race. Take pardon.
And now Tal's going to have to show some patience here. He's already lost a second and a half in this exchange. Has to wait it out. That was a dramatic last 30 seconds or so. Here's what it looked like. Go back a little further and right on board with 19.
Yeah, you can see the leader up ahead of his competition. He's like, okay, I got to get past these 3 guys before turn 5. And unfortunately, DJ Alessandrini made his move there before turn 4, and then he was pretty much stuck behind the 61 through this next section.
Little touch there. He was going pretty slow, though. Everyone was really stacked up behind Alessandrini at that moment as we go back to second. Huffman is still within striking distance, as is the lead in Jetta. Alessi has run 17 back down. It's half a second with all that carnage and chaos we saw a lap ago.
And now Alessi can finally have a chance to have a crack at this fight between himself and Borodati. He's been playing second fiddle pretty much this entire race so far.
We're towards turn number 5. Silent battle. It's like watching golf. We'll check back in with them when they're back fighting a little bit closer for the time being. Out front, though, Henhouse Seal. In this race, we have completed 30 laps. Make that 29 laps. He has led all 29.
Yeah,
Setting sail.
It's been close a few times, but has not lost the lead always been able to hike back ahead again unless he gets caught in some other lap traffic. Although now that the other class kind of spread out, it's been less of an issue for Alcil because he's only been counting one car at a time usually instead of 2-3 cars in a pack.
Yeah, definitely getting easier for Ken as the night goes on here. 36 minutes to go. Next time by will be essentially, this is the halfway mark at 36 minutes here. Not even essentially, mathematically, that is the halfway mark of this race.
That means these guys have got to make their scheduled pit stop at some point.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Everyone's got to make a mandatory pit stop. Would you split it right down the middle, or would you wait a little longer?
That's tough. I think a lot of it comes down to, like, potentially, I think for the faster class, I think if you're coming up on a pack of slower cars, I think you're honestly better off just coming into the pits and trying to, instead of trying to waste time out on the track and make the passes, I think you're better off just coming in, trying to get your service done. It's really situational where you kind of run and how your competitors are doing. That's really how you have to approach a mixed class race. Like, it's not just like a normal race where you're racing every single other car and you got your overcuts and undercuts, because for endurance racing it's not really that big of a factor when it comes down to it. So I think when they can find a gap in traffic, I think they should try to make a pit stop.
So in terms of making up ground, let's have a look here at the leaders in each of their categories, second place in each of their categories, see how an undercut would do. Alessandrini is about 2 seconds slower now than he was at the start of this race, so that would be a pretty sizable undercut. Same is true for Reed Shannabrook. Look at the lap times here, a full second slower. If he were to pit 3 laps sooner than Ken Halseal, assuming he could repeat his 1:10.3, he would pass Ken Halseal just on pit strategy. And I don't think it's going to matter so much, well, as I say that, they're in pit lane. I was going to say, it doesn't matter so much in the Jettas. They're not wearing out the tires as much, but Louis Alessi is on pit lane.
Yeah, no, they've been running laps pretty much within a second since the drop of the green flag. So definitely not a whole lot of tire wear there as the leaders you mentioned come down in to service their cars. So Dave Fitzgerald getting in the... I'm quite surprised he's back running in the Jetta class, because last time I remember him running these things, I remember him saying that he hated them.
I think everyone hates them. Don't they just do it for like a laugh?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's effectively the meme car.
Fitzgerald is rolling, and they are complete with their pit stop requirements now. So when does Ken Halseal come to pit lane? Do you try to protect against any undercut, or do you stay out until the end?
I think if you, as soon as the guys in behind, I think especially really, I mean, he's only really fighting with the 14 of RSR, Reed Shannabrook. I think as soon as they come in, just come in the lap after, I don't think there's really any point staying out more.
Alessandrini a little bit too far in the pit stall, which that'll be a critical moment, but again, 2 seconds a lap faster on fresh tires and a fresh driver. It will be Tom O'Gorman jumping into the 61. We'll see what they can do to run down Kyle Herbst. Kyle Herbst is paired up with teammate Andrew Pilata, and how long will they stay out? I can't imagine too much longer. I'd expect to see them in next lap.
Yeah, I definitely think so as well. We'll see when they decide to now as the pit stop's starting to kick off here. Some of the front runners are making their first stops of the race. And again, like I said, I imagine the leaders will want to play, you want to just come in as soon as your competition does. There's no point in really stretching it all the way out. This is not a 4-hour endurance race, just 1 hour and 12 minutes.
Yeah, no real advantage. It's not like you're pitting multiple times and need to get on the other side of a fuel strategy. Yep. All you're doing is getting to the end, which is only half an hour away. O'Gorman has not yet left the box, although the street stock pit stops might take a little longer.
That and also have to consider the penalty for you have to sit a certain amount of time when you change drivers.
Right, but he's not even showing on the race. Oh, yes, he is.
Yeah, now he is. Oh, yeah, I think it was fueling up. Now I just saw the jacks go
There they
up.
go. Yeah, it's just really slow pit stops in this class.
Oh, interesting. I'm just wondering because it's just now doing tires. Oh, now he's away. Huh.
Well, I think these stops are just really long. It's not something you typically see. Whoa, look out, right into traffic. Here comes Shannabrook darting through the middle. That was dicey.
That's always a dangerous thing. It's always really dangerous, that pit road exit, because you come back out and some of these guys are fighting side by side, pulling out to the right-hand side of the track.
But knowing now how long those pit stops are.
Whoa.
Kyle Herbst is
Gorman got a little bit of grass. He's trying to work around the Jetta traffic.
Oh, this will be fun to watch.
Yeah, he got thrown onto a flock full of Jettas.
O'Gorman just recently announced at the SCCA runoffs a couple of weeks ago at Virginia International Raceway, falling with Greg Kramer. Down the hill now, O'Gorman trying to make up any ground he can. Really aggressive here, but stuck behind this Jetta. This is a bad time to catch traffic, but looks like he's going to squeeze by David Miller in that 15 and made quick work of him.
Yeah, I was going to say this is going to be interesting to see when Huffman comes on in.
Oh, I wonder if they had some damage that I don't think you see the front end is all fixed up. I wonder how long they had to spend fixing that.
Yeah, I just found it weird because it took so long for the jacks on the tires to go up, and with the street stock, you fuel and gas them. You fuel and change the tires at the same time. It's not separate like in actual endurance cars in iRacing. Those actually feel like you would in real life endurance regulations where you have to fuel and change the tires separately. So it was weird because you're sitting in there for about a minute, and then finally the jacks went up on the left and right tires. So I'm not sure what they were doing, if they're just planning on fixing damage and then service the car. I'm not quite sure.
Either way, 30 minutes left here in the 1.2 hours at Summit Point. Again, we'd like to take a moment to remind you what we're doing here today. We're raising money for the Boys and Girls Club of the Eastern Panhandle. And again, the statement from Stacy Ron, the CEO, as we race in the beginning of the school year, the Boys and Girls Club of the Eastern Panhandle is excited to partner with the DC Region SCCA to kick off their 2022 to 2023 after-school program. They will be providing dinner, snacks, homework help, fitness games, and fun. As they cross the finish line each day, the members can be prepared to take on a new day with confidence. Thanks to all for supporting our local Boys and Girls Club. If you'd like to donate to the cause, QR code top right of the screen. You can scan that with your phone. You can also click the link in the video description to donate. Thank you so much as we get into the final half hour here of the 1.2 hours at the point.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised Ken, so he's waiting quite a while because he's the only Cadillac that does have a teammate waiting on standby, and Nick Babin waiting to get in the car.
For how long he will go? Under half an hour. Well past halfway at this stage.
Yeah, looking at other cars, let's see, in the Jettas, the only one to change was PMF Motorsports. That's Dave Fitzgerald now in that machine, and then a few in the street stocks for obviously Lizard Brain Podcast, which you saw Tom McCormick get in the car. PMF Motorsports Red, it's the 69. Jack Christie currently in the machine. Francois Brou waiting on standby. Crunchberries, Kyle Hurst has his teammate Andrew Pilata waiting on standby in the 96. And that's actually about it. That's the only cars that haven't.
Whoa, look out. Try to dive to the right as Shannonbrook went there. I think now Herbst is going to dive for pit lane. Yes, he is. He tried to move to the right. There was a little miscommunication there as he head to pit lane. Ken House-Seal is also on pit lane as the race leader. I think that's it this time through, but now we get to see the differential with Kyle Herbst changing over to Andrew Pilata, and where will they pop out in relation to the Lizard Brains podcast cars?
Yeah, I think it was about 7 seconds and change the gap. It was the number 6 Jetta off the track. That's Camilleri.
Yeah, just through turn number 9, tracks out a little bit wide, drops the tires, and around he goes. Just missed the wall there.
It's unfortunate if he was with the touring cars. I think he probably just could have put his foot in it and it would have probably straightened out.
Not the case this time through. So House-Seal back on the, well, not on the racetrack. Nick Babin is behind the wheel. They drop to third as the other two drivers have not made their pit stops. And there could be a pretty sizable difference here in lap time. Although Babin has real world and lots of sim racing experience, drives an MX-5 in the real world, an ND MX-5. We saw him at Lime Rock Park earlier this year. But again, this is pretty critical. Who was the 14 car got as a teammate for RSR?
No one.
All right.
But majority of the field does not have a teammate.
So when Shannonbrook hits pit lane, they should come out ahead of Babin and change over the lead in this category. So Pilata's back on the road. Where's the Lizard Brain podcast car? On the other side of the racetrack. So I think the damage repair would cost him a lot. Lap time or pit stop time wise, it was 25 seconds longer than Pilata's pit stop.
I think that's what they're trying to do. I'm kind of surprised they bothered to try to fix that damage because I just don't think it's really worth it.
I don't think they intended to, is my point. I think they forgot to uncheck it. I guess you don't really have a choice, do you?
No, but you don't have to check anything because it's just optional. It's not like it was required repairs.
Yeah.
So they could have just left the box at any point in time.
Jack Chrissie's on pit lane in the street stock class. And the 56 is rolling again. That's Mad Mike Motorsports. Mike Kelly. Francois Brou climbs behind the wheel of the number 69.
Nice.
Now,
I just realized that.
as we're down to, he's always been the number 69.
Is he really?
Uh-huh.
Oh. Dude, that's how long it's been. I completely forgot about that.
Down to the final 26 minutes, and these minutes are going to click away pretty quickly. But the field is pretty spread out, and there's not a lot of one-on-one battles at the moment. You're not missing out on much. See how things cycle here. Morgan Burkhardt is going to be promoted to third with the 61 dropping a spot.
Ooh, 43, Dave Fitzgerald went flying off the track after a close encounter with Nick Babin. Ooh, actually, Nick Babin almost wiped himself out. Down to turn number 5.
Here's a look. And Babin, yes, he did. And that, again, it'll be pretty critical when we talk about finishing out this race. The pace House Hill had was incredible, but can Babin maintain it?
Yeah, working his way through the final turn. See how much time he actually lost that lap. Looked like he lost 9 seconds. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the lead coming in was about 11 or 12 seconds in the Cadillac between first and second. So we'll see here when they come. Actually, no, I say that he's still sitting behind the 2.
Yeah, he's lost a lot of ground.
For second place.
Last time around is a 120.6. That's 9 seconds off of the expectation in terms of lap time there. So this is sliding downhill pretty quickly for the Weebs R Us car. Jannabrook leads the way, but is in pit lane. Mike Leader should be the next driver to come on down pit lane. Tala Sadiq has already made a pit stop, so we're just waiting. Leader already has.
Yeah.
So that will be it then.
Yeah, Leader just passed him on the track when Babin was off in the grass. That's where Leader was able to get by. So Leader should, pun intended, be your leader.
Jannabrook, did he take tires by mistake? Nope. Finally rolling. Leader exiting turn 9, so Jannabrook should have a pretty comfortable lead here and will take the lead in the Cadillac category. 25 minutes to go. As for street stocks, O'Gorman up into 4th place. They're 24 seconds back from 3rd. But from Huffman, who just hit pit lane, to Pilata, it was a minute or about 38 seconds, and now Huffman is in pit lane, so this should turn the lead back over to Andrew Pilata and the Crunchberries team.
Yeah, it's been crazy because I'm looking at all the pit stops for all of the street stocks, and it's all over the place. One cruise had 58 seconds, another 43. The Lizard Brain Podcast, they were there for a minute 21, and then Francois Brou, their car was in for a minute 4. So it's all over the place for what the actual pit time is. I'm going to say around probably somewhere between 40-something and 50-something seconds.
Hearing already that tonight we've raised over $300 for the Boys and Girls Club of Eastern Panhandle. Again, if you'd like to contribute, anything helps. Scan that QR code top right of the screen, or you could click the link in the video description, benefiting the Boys and Girls Club of the Eastern Panhandle. 8.5 seconds is the difference in the lead for the Cadillac category. There's the 14 RSR car, Mike Leader in the distance. That is your 2nd place car in class. As for the street stocks, Pilata leads the way by 7 seconds over Morgan Burkhardt.
Guys, we really started to come around for the number 2. Started to bring him around in the right direction after he dropped back to like 4th or 5th place. He's slowly worked his way back up the order in a second.
There's Ryan McBain chasing Jermaine Major. This is a battle for position. 7/10 separate them for 4th in the Jetta class.
Yeah, we still don't know how much time the 43 actually lost because the 17 Felix Bordati is yet to come in to make his one and only stop, so he's still out there on the track.
Everybody is required, whether or not you're switching drivers, you need to come hit pit lane.
Actually, still got half of the Jettas to come in, again, because they're so fuel efficient. Camilleri and McBain have also yet to make a pit stop.
1.2 hours at Summit Point. Reed Jannabrook leads the way in the number 14 RSR Cadillac across the line. About 20, make that 19 laps to go this time through. In the Tinder car out front.
So far, so good for Shannon. He's got a comfortable lead, 7 seconds back to leader, and then another 7 seconds back to Babin.
Hey, what? Pilata has begun to stretch the lead back out on Morgan Burkhardt. It was a 118.8 last time to Burkhardt's 119.2, so they're picking up right where they left off in the Crunchberries car.
I'm not too surprised from that. I was expecting Pilata to kind of get out there and go. We know he's been very quick in pretty much every car he's been thrown in.
Now the same,
he's able to get up and go.
Same is not true in Cadillac. Last time by, leader was faster by about 0.7 of a second over Reed Shanabrook. Now, with that pace difference, theoretically, he could get there, but he's got to dispatch the two. He does. He'll probably lose a little bit of ground on this lap. Oh, look out, and the two car is gone off course, and it keeps it out of the wall. Great driving there by Morgan Burkhardt.
Sure, a little love lost between those two.
There's a look at the replay here. 53 goes to the inside. Did he just understeer? Oh, just he bobbled, then hit the curb, and then hit the two.
Threw it. Was trying to keep it tight, but threw it too tight in that corner. Bounced up and over the curb as he saw.
Whoop. Almost missed it too. He almost didn't get hit, but just in time. So that will actually extend Shanabrook's lead out to 8.5 now out front. But leader might have a little more pace if he can just have clean laps. He was quicker than the 14 earlier in the race, but we kept seeing him have little slip-ups here and there that cost him a lot of time.
Here you see leader stuck in behind. That is, no, that's not
McBain.
Too many yellow Jettas, man. I'm telling you.
The yellow Jettas and the number font is not helping either. How is that not a 77?
Yeah, look at McBain, right, running there, and then look at Bordati.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Under 20 minutes to go, which is about 15 laps worth of racing here. And the closest battles that we saw earlier in this race really kind of gone away.
Whoa! 56 straight stock off in turn one. Almost took out the leader.
That is Mike Kelly. What happened down here at turn one? Ooh, really hot. Locked it down and into the dirt.
I was watching them both go by the Jetta. That's Dave Fitzgerald. They're going by there, and then I think just misses braking point. Ooh, that could have been a disaster.
Sounded like the car was kind of idling too. So when you push the clutch into downshift, if you kind of mess your footwork up, you lose all that drivetrain drag on the downshifts and the slowdown. So if you push that clutch in, you're just going to stop decelerating. I think it's kind of underrated how much the car slows down with the gearbox in addition to the brakes. Next time, just in your virtual race car, see how much less efficient your brakes are when you've got the car in neutral. It is not a fun time. And I think that could have contributed. Also, the kind of the red mist of trying to get by the Jetta before the turn, I think, contributed to that as well. Battles still a little bit deeper in the field. Back to Ryan McBain and Jermaine Major. There's 2.9 seconds between these two cars. And these two were a couple of the drivers involved in that early lap one collision down at turn one, but they've recovered. They're battling for fourth, about 3 seconds apart. And Huffman and Burkhardt.
Yeah, they're starting to close back in on one another. Battle for second brewing here in the closing stages.
Two up the road, that's the car in second. The black 90-9, the Trans Am livery, is running in third and making a ton of ground, but that's really hot into turn one. Gets it slowed down though. Last time by, got a full second quicker than the second place car, that blue and red car just up the road there.
Yeah, I was going to say, Huffman's been pretty good on the brakes, and I think if anything, he might beat Burkhardt out in a braking zone. We'll see here where he can try to catch the two. I definitely think he should catch, because with 17 minutes remaining, he should be there in about 2 or 3 laps if he keeps his current pace up.
Has a lot of confidence leading on the car in high-speed corners as well. Nice clean downshift into third gear.
Well, also a Jetta, I think, might come into play here. Might hold Burkhardt up a little bit here.
Jermaine Major in the 4, but I think where they're going to catch him, it shouldn't be too big of a deal. He'll be at the exit of turn 9, on board with the number 2. Needs to power back by this 4, and he will do just that, but still losing lots of ground to the number 99. Both young guys behind the wheels of these cars. Young members of the SCCA making things happen in the virtual series here. "133 miles an hour to street stock is fast, and getting it slowed down in a pretty short amount of time is impressive.
It really is, because things do not have good brakes whatsoever.
7/10 faster than Burkhardt last time. Not as big of a change. Ketarakis is off track. How recent is this? Pretty recent.
It happened turn 10.
Here's a look at the replay of Ketarakis. Had a couple close calls earlier with lap traffic, but right here on the entry, our understeers a little bit, runs out wide, catches the dirt back across the road, and big tank slapper.
Yeah, slow lazy spin, hit the wall there. Could have gotten going. I guess he figured at that point not much point in continuing onwards. He has retired the car.
15 minutes to go. Lap traffic for Morgan Burkhardt, and he senses Huffman coming. This is going to be a great battle for a second. Held up a little bit by the 6 on corner exit. It's going to kill his momentum down the straightaway. Huffman already matching the speed a couple hundred yards behind him. Now look at the ground he's made up and into slipstream.
In the slipstream, probably not going to get a whole lot on this occasion. This was talking about the braking zone, a huge amount of time gain.
On board with Morgan now. Ooh, a little wide on entry to 3. Almost, there's a big bump on entry, and if you just miss the entrance, you can drop your right rear tire in the grass and have a gnarly spin. And Morgan was awful close to getting to that point. But now the pressure is on, and look how much Huffman gains in the braking zone and almost rear-ended the 2.
Yeah, and I think that's really where the 2 of Burkhardt's going to lose out here. If Huffman can keep him close as they approach turn 1, I think he'll just beat him in the braking area, and that's where he's going to have to try better, the 2 of Burkhardt. He's going to have to try to somehow outbrake the 989.
No anti-lock brakes, heel toe downshifting, or you're not heel towing. If it's not a skill you're familiar with, you're just going to be popping the car in gear by pressing the clutch in. That massively upsets the drivetrain in these cars and makes for a really uncomfortable downshift sequence where you're kind of chattering the rear tires, and it has a lot of stock car tendencies, wheel hop and things of the sort.
Yeah, see Huffman not really quite able to get that close on this occasion. We'll make up a huge amount of time in the braking zone again. Oh, almost threw it in there a little too deep, but still managed to make up some time.
So Camilleri on pit lane. We'll just making sure we didn't miss that, but
yeah, the Jettas finally decided they wanted to come and make a pit stop, where Tdi only was in for 14 seconds, so he's got a massive lead on Fitzgerald, I think, because he did have to change drivers.
Huffman following Morgan down turn number 4. This has gone from big gains to ebbing and flowing. Only a 10th faster than Morgan last time through. Big understeer through 5. And we're down to 13 minutes. We're running out of laps here, so Jamieson's got to get creative if he wants to get by this 2.
Yeah, curious what creative's going to mean, though. Is it going to mean technically just trying to outdrive him, or just using the chrome horns?
It's going to be turn 1, I think, the braking into turn 1. Just such a long braking zone in these cars that if you're a couple feet early, it just gives someone else so much time to get by. But I think this pass is still a couple of laps out. Meanwhile, up in the Cadillac class, Dannebrook's lead has dwindled a little bit, but it's still bigger than it was when we last mentioned it. Leader lost a bunch of ground, now is finding pace again, but he needs clear track to find pace. He's been struggling in traffic.
Of course, swing on through. Yeah, so that has a huge amount of time to gain. I don't think he's really going to find anything unless Dannebrook makes a big mistake when he gets through some lap traffic. But other than that, it's looking less and less likely that Leader can find something.
Yeah, it seemed to need to get bigger gains than this and more consistent gains, which has been the biggest struggle on the night for the 53 Mad Badger Autosport car. And here comes some traffic into the mix. This is the race leader in Cadillac. The 14 is Shannabrook behind the battle for second in street stock. Takes a swipe at the 989. This is going to be disruptive.
Ooh. Indeed it is. Will he try to work past the 2? I don't think he's going to need a change before they get onto the straightaway.
Going to wait it out here.
That's not what Huffman needed.
No, it definitely not. Ooh, yeah, big hold up by the 14. That's going to help Mike Leader's case a lot, but I think when Leader gets here, he's going to experience similar struggles getting by unless he catches this group on the front straightaway. But he won't, because the Cadillacs are about 9 seconds faster a lap, and he's only 6 seconds back from Shannabrook, so he's going to catch him probably in the same area that Shannabrook just caught him.
Brakes again.
Wow, look at all the ground Huffman gained that time.
Yeah, he really needs to just get better in the last half of the lap just to try to stake along with the 2. He's just losing too much time approaching the straightaway that he can't quite get there to even try to outbrake the 2 going into turn 1.
Big understeer for the left-hander for Huffman as well. Morgan gained a little ground there, about 0.2 of a second. Now here comes Leader. As I mentioned, worst place that he could catch him if he wanted to take advantage. And he's just gonna have to sit on it here. I don't think he feels like he can realistically get to Shannabrook. But he just lost all the ground that he gained last lap when Shannabrook had the same scenario. Plus some, actually.
Yeah, definitely not what he needed here. Finally has a chance to get past the street stocks.
At least one of them. They'll put the 2 car offline on the entrance to the corner, but I think Morgan saw that coming and was able to move back over in time. 0.6 of a second is the difference in second place in the straight stock class. Ten minutes remaining here. As we mentioned, this race is benefiting the Boys and Girls Club of the Eastern Panhandle. If you'd like to donate, have the ability to. You can scan that QR code in the upper right of the screen, or you can click the link in the video description. Donate to the Boys and Girls Club of the Eastern Panhandle, who is working with the DC region SCCA as, trouble for the 2. And just like that, that position is swapped. That happened so fast.
Yeah, the Jetta was involved there. That was the number 11.
Yeah, he gets the grass on entry. As I mentioned, it's easy to overstep that bound. Drops the right side tires in the grass and loses the spot. And given that Huffman was a little faster, I think that's all she wrote for that fight, unless Huffman gets stuck in a similar way, which he is, and slide. Here comes the 2 back to the rear bumper.
The same incident caught the grass and the exit of the corner there, and they're side by side entering the last corner. They're going to have to split the Jetta here. This is going to be interesting.
Oh, no, they're going to have to back out. Now they're door to door. They're going to have to split them on the front straight. Great stuff here for second place in street stocks. Now we're 3 abreast.
And back to 2 wide here. Burkhardt's got the preferred lane on the inside, although you can see Huffman, he's got the run now into the braking zone.
He run the 99 a little wide. That outer groove isn't such a bad space, but Huffman was a little too far. It gets great drive off. He's got overlap now, almost. No, Burkhardt re-clears him as they head to 3.
You can see Huffman, he tries to look around the outside, can't quite get there. Burkhardt's cleared for now off of turn 3. You can see the 989 get the run. Gonna look to the left-hand side of the track. This is gonna be tough to do.
Oh boy, down the hill towards turn 5. Who's got the advantage? Now the 2 covers. Morgan does a great job in defense mode there. 8 minutes to go, and Huffman could use a little more.
Yeah, and for Huffman, it's back to square 1. A little bit of a tap sends the 2 a little bit sideways on the power. You can see the tire marks left on the track of that 2 trying to get control.
Hanging the drift out there. Morgan trying to drive back away. Would you believe that last lap, after all that, the leaderboard didn't even show them changing positions because they came across the stripe where they had been the previous lap, despite 2 changes for position over the course of that lap.
Yeah, it just tells you where the scoreboard doesn't show the true story. Still yet racing left to go here. As Huffman tries to get a run down the front straightaway now. He's going to have the run here. He's going to pull alongside. Pulls back across, try to outbrake the 2, try to make him guess where he's going.
Yeah, Morgan moved over to the right to defend that position. But Huffman prioritized the exit, but not well enough. Morgan gets a great drive off, gets through the gears a little better as well. Remember, you have to clutch on the upshifts here and clutch on the downshifts through H-pattern 4-speed manual.
And you're not missing anything in the other class. It's the closest battle on the racetrack.
And here comes the third place car in Cadillacs. Nick Babin for Weebs R Us led most of this race and now is a spectator to the second place fight in street stock.
Yeah, it's not been a good second stint for the 23 car, as they're now, as mentioned, stuck in behind the street stocks.
Accelerates out of it. Should clear both drivers before turn 10. But will it put the 2-car offline again? Just a little bit. Huffman will take advantage. Covered by a quarter of a car length down the front straightaway. And again, Burkhardt goes defensive, doing the only thing he can do in this position. He's up the 989 on the outside here. Look, he turns in late. They make contact.
Oh. That's pretty much exactly what Burkhardt needed to do, because he cannot yield that inside lane to Huffman.
Yeah, I don't think Huffman's going to love that, though. Watch again. 2-car kind of creeps over in the braking zone and then doesn't turn in. 99 was already sliding, but he had a little help. That put him more offline. Now maybe a little hot under the helmet, too.
Well, again, they're driving stock cars, so par for the course.
Oh, boy. Now we'll see how frustrated he is. Will he use the bumper again?
Yeah, so I'm using it last time in this corner right here.
So you have to be so patient on throttle here. You can hear the car just sliding the rear tires.
Yeah, so many changes directions. Sometimes they're sliding through here, just trying to get the car to force it to change direction.
Through the final corner here, under 5 minutes remaining as they battle nose to tail down the front stretch. Again, this is by far the best battle on the racetrack, and we'll keep following it.
Oh, there's the bump.
Didn't do him a lot of good, though. If you're going to use a bump, you might as well get somewhere with it.
Yeah, you need to make sure you hit that bump entering the corner, not in the middle of the corner. Otherwise, it actually technically gives them a boost.
Well, the Jetta's going to slow up the 2, though.
It's Joe Camilleri that they're trying to get on by here. Burkhardt's going to get by before turn 4. Huffman needs to make sure he can get by.
Now that's going to be tough if he can't complete this pass. And I think the 6 gave him a break there. The 2 locked up big time on the entrance to 5. Joe Camilleri really doing him a solid there and moving over. What a great fight. These street stocks race really well on road courses.
Yeah, you wouldn't think, right? You wouldn't think that they could race good on road courses, but here we are.
Well, I think it's just cars that race bad on road courses race good. Oh,
whoa.
Big tank slap for the 989. He's going to give up a lot of ground. Three-tenths of a second, 3 minutes left. Out front, Shannabrook continues to make revolutions around Summit Point Raceway with Mike Leader 8 seconds back. Then it's 32 seconds back to Nick Babin. A lot of leads in the street stock class, but nobody is watching the 96. They're all watching the 2 and the 989 go to a war for second place in the second class.
Ooh, Burkhardt struggling to get on the power. They're a little bit loose off of turn 1. As we're to turn 2 right now. Huffman trying to catch back up again, but he's really struggling to get back there. He's running out of opportunities.
Car length and a half. I think he's going to have to use the bumper. He's going to have to rough up the 2 like he got roughed up, and I mean side to side, not nose to tail.
Oh, he's tempted.
I don't think it'll do you a lot of good. I think you got to get to the inside in turn 1 or even to the outside and just lean on him a little bit. Force him into the grass on the inside or into the grass on the outside. Make him have to check up, and that's what's going to win you this race. But again, you don't necessarily want to have to move a competitor, but no, it's eye for an eye, I guess.
Yeah, it really comes down, as you mentioned, just how does Huffman feel like he was used up a little bit by Burkhardt earlier on.
Vandenbroek has led 22 of the 58 laps that we have completed. We hit about 3 laps to go this time through. Actually, it should be 2 laps to go.
Yeah, I was going to say it should be 2, or Climbing's a little optimistic, thinking those 61 laps should be only going 60.
Ooh, there's the lockup by the 2. And right in front of the overall race leader, they're going to go to town here for second place in street stock. And through goes the slippery Cadillac. He's gone.
So effectively 2 laps to go for these guys, and actually less than that now.
Yeah, lap and a half. I think Huffman has Burkhardt where he wants him, but he just needs to find a little advantage. He needs to be in the right spot at the right time.
Another lock up.
Here they go.
Burkhardt's starting to make some big mistakes into the braking zone, as that's not where we want to do, because that's Huffman's strong point.
Yeah, Huffman's really, or excuse me, Burkhardt's really good through this section, exiting 6 and then into 7 and 8. Then Huffman closes on the other half of the racetrack, basically all the way through 5. As Reed Shandenbrook comes out of the final corner, this time through the white flag is waving. One more lap around for the 1.2 hours at the point. Second place in street stock, still being hotly contested. And this time, look at Burkhardt just getting shoved down the straightaway. He out of fuel? I think he's out of fuel, Finian.
Yeah, I think he is. The engine's sputtering. I can hear him down the straightaway. It actually looks like he's getting a push from Huffman. That's kind of surprising to see.
Well, if they do this the entire lap, they could be at risk of losing a spot to O'Gorman, who's quickly closing. So if they're out of fuel and going to push each other back to the line, that means that Tomo could get there and he could end up on the podium or even second place. So how long will Morgan push this 2-car for? Or excuse me, Jameson.
Yeah, this is taking an interesting turn.
It has. It really has. Was not expecting this. He is out of fuel.
I was curious to see that would happen, because I imagine, especially with the street stocks, they take so long to fuel up that if you can cut out a gallon here or there, you can save a lot of time in pit lane and on the racetrack.
Well, if O'Gorman knows this, he should be pushing hard, because he's still got 12 seconds to make up as the leader. Reed Shandenbrook picks up the win in the 1.2 hours at the point. Gets it done here at Summit Point. Mike Leader will come home in second. The interesting bit, as Andrew Pilata works his way through the last couple. He's already taken, actually he's still going, isn't he?
He is not. He's still going.
So Tom O'Gorman trying to get back around. He's got to get by this Jetta. This is going to be really close as they push and shove each other for second place. This is a podium spot. You see O'Gorman in the background. They are running out a lap to get this done. 2 corners.
Oh, I just realized Huffman left him out to dry, so another 2 is being pushed by the 19.
Here comes Tomo. And here come the Lizard Brains podcast car. Through the last corner, he's going to sweep to the inside, and Tom O'Gorman is going to grab second place in the street stock category.
Third, actually.
Third. Huffman throttled up, didn't he?
Yeah, he left him out.
I didn't even see that. I was so focused on the Cadillac driving by, but a podium for the 61. And Morgan Burkhardt will come home in 4th. And then in terms of the Jetta category, as Andrew Pilata picks up the win in street stock, Vital Racing and Felix Borodati picks it up in the Jetta class. That was an interesting end.
It definitely was. So I wasn't expecting to see, like I said, I was expecting to see someone run out of gas. I wasn't expecting to see someone being pushed all the way around the track, especially by their competitor that they're racing on the same lap and battling for position for the last half an hour. To see them push each other, that was interesting to see.
Well, there is a look at your race winners. There's Reed Shandenbrook, your class winner in Cadillac. Then Pilata in the 96 gets it done for Crunchberry's team. And of course, Felix in the number 17 for Vital Racing, the winner in the Jetta category. We'd like to again remind you to use that QR code in the upper right of the screen to help out our friends at Boys and Girls Club of the Eastern Panhandle. And again, Stacy Runn, CEO, celebrating the partnership for 2022 to 2023 with the Washington, D.C. region SCCA. So make sure that you, if you have the ability to, use that QR code or click the link in the description to help out the Boys and Girls Club of the Eastern Panhandle. All right, Finian, that was a pretty good one across the board. Some interesting fights, some interesting car classes. I really like that Street Stock has a car class, though.
Yeah, no, it works out really well. As you were mentioning earlier, it doesn't particularly drive well at the road courses, but it races pretty well. And I think we see that a lot with the stock cars. Typically, the worse they drive, the better show they typically put on. And those guys in that class definitely was the highlight. That and the Cadillacs, they both had very good races throughout the entire night.
Well, really fun racing as we get through our first event of the 2022 winter season for the DC region SCCA. Finian, much more to come as we get into our regular season racing. We're going to be kind of switching off, doing different car classes each week, kind of bouncing back and forth between a couple different combinations. But a good way to start things off here at the home track for the DC region SCCA.
Yeah, just glad to get these guys back on Sim TV, and they came back with some very strong running, very strong showing from a lot of the guys out there, and some fantastic racing all around.
Well, that was a blast as we get through all that and finish out our day here. Don't think we're going to have our class winners in the group. I see DJ waiting there, but we always talk to DJ. We do have a couple of people joining us now.
Oh, there you go.
Let's bring all three of these guys in. They were all fighting for second in the street stock category.
Yeah.
And here they are, Jameson Huffman, Morgan Burkhardt, and DJ Alessandrini, where Tom was driving at the tail end there, guys. Take us through that fight. Morgan and Jameson, you guys had a great fight. Jameson, why'd you push Morgan back to the finish? That was wild.
Well, I mean, he's my teammate and everything else I do, so I had to help him out, and then we had our other teammate take over for the end so I could still pick up podium, but it was a good thing to do.
Morgan, your perspective there, the fueling issue, I presume that was a miscalculation.
Yeah, I was looking at the crew chief came over the radio and was like 5 laps of fuel to go, and there were like 8-9 minutes left, and then I just kept looking at it, and it was about 3 laps of fuel. I made, or a lap and a half of fuel I made stretch 3 laps, and then I got Jameson and Deacon to push me around for the last lap to make the line.
Well, that was fun to watch. DJ, you were watching on top the pit box for Tom O'Gorman, kind of mired back in 4th, 5th for most of the race after that pit stop. What was going through your mind that last lap when you saw those two running out of fuel?
We were just laughing. It was fun. Yeah, we learned something about the tires in the pit stop. If you click it on after you stop, it completely waits till the fuel is done until it changes tires.
Lesson learned there, I suppose.
Yeah, so that's new to me. I thought if you just click it on at any point, it will just start, but that's apparently not how it works.
Well, either way, it was fun to watch, DJ, and I think we found a car that you can't automatically win in.
Dude, Kyle and Andrew are monsters in this thing. Like, what are they doing?
I think they turned off tire degradation.
Maybe, but I mean, I think it was Jameson in front of me. Yeah, for most of that race. What gearing were you using? Because we were 3.6 and you were just driving away from me.
We were 3.89 is what we were using.
Yeah. It seemed like you could use 3rd in places where I would be using 2nd. And yeah, honestly, it was really fun. Like the way the tires fell off, and because I was really trying to conserve them, and then I could tell that these two, their cars got really unhappy, but I still couldn't find a way past Jameson until that caddy wanted all of us dead. But yeah, I honestly way off pace compared to Andrew and Kyle, but I had fun. So thanks to WDCR and the rest of the guys for putting this on.
All right, well, thanks, guys. We're going to move on to talking to our race-winning team, but congratulations. We'll see you next week. All right, moving on now to our front runners, our class winners in the street stock category. Team Crunchberries, Kyle and Andrew. We just mentioned to DJ that I think we found a car that he can't automatically win in, and he said you guys were monsters. What's the secret to this thing?
I guess go fast. I think. I don't know. We messed around with the setup a little bit, and I guess it worked better than expected.
I'd also say it's like our go-to fun car to mess around with when we aren't doing any leagues or anything. We'll usually find a session to jump into his car, so we're kind of familiar with it.
Well, it certainly showed that way. I mean, that's at a certain point, I thought there would be a fight up there towards the front, but you guys continued to drive away. So, hey, guys, congratulations. Great run tonight, and it was a lot of fun to watch. This car in particular, I'd say it's a pretty good fun car choice.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think maybe we're a little bit well oriented towards driving really crappy cars in this case, but you know, maybe we'll keep that going through the rest of the league.
Well, guys, thanks so much. Congratulations. We'll see you next time out here for the DC Region SCCA.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, we're going to wrap up things from there, Finian. Finishing out the night again one more time, the QR code top right if you'd like to donate to the Boys and Girls Club of the Eastern Panhandle. Finian, fun race tonight. I think we've discovered that Street Stock is definitely a car to choose at our hosted session on a road course.
Yeah, definitely. These guys, again, put on a really good show. Some really clean, tough racing all around for the most part. Didn't really see anything too egregious from anyone out there. So just some nice racing for a good cause, and glad to hear that we raised quite a bit of money. And if you still want to, as you still have the QR code, you can still scan the QR code up there, or the link is down in the description. So even after the fact, if you want to send any more money their way, it's again for a good cause. And appreciate Washington Region SCCA bringing them on board.
All right, that's going to do it for us tonight. We'll see you next week. Next up on SimTV tomorrow night will be the Area Lodgebox Series. They'll be headed to Rockingham Speedway. We'll see you tomorrow.